Well, I hope you enjoyed the quiz as much as I enjoy writing them. Now, as per our agenda, we have finished our talk about offers, and we're now going to talk about lifetime value, most valuable customer for a few minutes. Then I am going to show you the case study for Ocean Spray. And we're going to talk about getting you guys going for Ocean Spray. What should be the next steps, ... And that's going to be the end of week 4, which is level 2, part B. And of course, you're going to have some more of the game to deal with at the end of the lecture, a puzzle to solve. You're going to get it individually, but I hope you work together as a team, help each other, etc., etc. So, we have talked about this. I'm showing it to you again. It is important, and repetition certainly doesn't hurt. If you hear about something more than once, it'll help you remember it, we hope. Net present value of profit from customer over 3 years. And we all remember what net present value is, right? Okay. So it's key to understanding how much to invest in acquiring new customers. Right? So a new customer costs $20 to get, but you're able to make, $50 LTV. Obviously, it's a good investment. And even though the customer's first transaction may be $5, if the lifetime value is $40 or $50, then everything's cool. Now, I just want us to, we didn't do this before, we're just going to think a little bit more about lifetime value in different categories. So, remember the neighborhood grocer we looked at? We said, a few classes ago, we said that the objective of CRM, of database marketing, was to basically treat every customer the way the neighborhood grocery store owner treated them. In other words, you know everything about the family, how many kids they have, whether their Aunt Sophie's living with them, what are the products they like, all that stuff. What kind of candy little Federico likes, etc., etc. So, but just think about, there are lots of grocery stores out there, and we have a lot of options, most of us, in terms of where we shop and buy our weekly sustenance, etc. So how much does a family of 4 spend every week on groceries, do you think? Of course, it varies based on their affluence and where they live and what's available. Of course, it varies, and zip code, right? But, is it 100 a week? Is it 200 a week? And if you multiply that times 52 weeks, it's 200 a week. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Now, in terms of gross revenue, now what is the profit on that? Well, that, of course, is another issue. Hopefully, a grocery store, it's not a high profit margin business, grocery stores, but hopefully they're making a good, 5-10% profit on that. So the LTV of a grocery store customer is lifetime value is pretty high. I don't know how many grocery stores actually realize that. A lot of them do have loyalty programs, right? They have bonus cards you use for everything, and you kind of get into your points and your rewards. Of course, that's a smart idea. Well, what about the car business? The type of folks that have cars. I don't know how many of you have families. If you've grown up in places where you have to have a car. If you've grown up in New York City, you don't have to have a car for the most part. So, but those of you who've grown up upstate New York or outside of New York City know that cars cost a lot of money. $20,000 to get a new one, $25,000 or more, depending on what you get. And people tend to replace cars. Some of them replace cars every 2 or 3 years. It just sort of depends. Others will use the car right to the 180, 200,000 miles, replace it every 8 or 10 years. But if someone is coming in and spending $20,000 on a new car every 5 or 10 years, that's the profit margin is not too bad, and then they buy the wax protection and everything else. Developing loyal customers to a car salesperson, auto dealership, is worth a lot of money. And so just for you to think, a lot of my students love Sephora's loyalty programs and products, so just think about how much you spend per year for your makeup, how much you spend on Amazon, how much at Verizon, how much with Apple. And so this is just a little mathematics. This shows a lifetime value of $234, an acquisition cost for the customer, which would be basically taking how much did your ad campaign cost, or overall, and how many new customers did you get? So you just divide that number of customers into your ad campaign, and you come up with a cost per acquiring customer acquired. Then you deduct your costs, and here's your net margin per customer. So $144. So in this case, you want to make sure all your advertising and everything else you do isn't more than $144. Okay. Most valuable customers have the highest lifetime value. Yes. Now this is a fairly complicated chart, and one I'm having trouble reading here. This is lifetime value. This is a calculation that's done. I don't know if I'm going to go through every line of this thing with you guys, but this is from my database class textbook, which is a really good textbook. And this is looking at current users and new users, etc., and calculating if you what is the cost of sending emails, which is very, very cheap. And, obviously, who we just send the email to. I mean, how do you acquire prospect emails? That's a whole other topic. But basically, this is a calculation to show, what is the profitability of sending an email to get new subscribers. Okay, now there's another topic I want to talk about a little bit here that has to do with acquiring customers. What you need to do is, and we've talked this a few times, is you need to define your MVCs in your database and understand who they are, and run data from external databases against them and find out if they like to fish, or go to Lincoln Center and hear John Philip Sousa marches, or what do they like to do? Get everything you can to find out what they like to do. And are they old? Are they young? Where do they live? Now, once you can define them, you tailor your communications to find more MVCs. Now, concept warning. This is a daunting sort of a slide, and this is a mathematical concept called multivariate analysis. And apologize in advance because I know it's a little confusing, or even very confusing. But basically, here's what it's about. I end up knowing a lot of things about my most valuable customers. I hopefully have their demographics, age, income, education level. And if I've consulted external databases, or if I've done a survey similar to the survey you saw on the Choice Hotel customers, I know that they like to barbecue. I know that they like to tailgate. I know they like to watch sports. I mean, I know a lot of things about them. So now that I know 10 different characteristics that they tend to have, they're older, they're male, they like to tailgate and barbecue, they live in the South. Now that I know these 10 characteristics, well, okay, there's 10 characteristics. Which one is the most important? If I have to buy media, how do I determine where I spend my money? I mean, they're not all equally important, all these characteristics. Some of these characteristics have a bigger effect on purchase behavior than others. And to determine which characteristics have which purchase effect, which effect on purchasing, I run a multivariate analysis. Okay, and this little diagram shows religious attendance, meaning going to church. The question is, how often do you attend religious services? And on the left side, you see the frequency of attendance, weekly or less often. And the columns, the column heads, you have age and gender. So you have under 40 and 40 and older. And then the line below that is men, women, men, women. So, so what can we say here? Well, it looks as if the highest attendance in terms of about weekly are 40 and older women, right? Because 45% of, this is an old survey, 2006 National Opinion Research Center, 45% of women 40 or older go to church about weekly. So the question is it age or gender that has the bigger effect on whether you go to church a lot or not? And if you run a multivariate analysis, you will see which has the most impact. And it will guide your decision in terms of, is your main focus in your advertising to reach only women? Or is your main focus in your advertising to reach only older people? Or maybe your main focus is to reach older women. So that's a multivariate analysis. This, oh my gosh, I almost regret that I put this in the presentation because, oh dear, what does this show? Well, the left-hand side shows one variable that, let's just say the line, the straight line that goes from lower left to upper right is, let's call it purchase intent, okay? And whoever did this diagram found that there's one variable is very closely aligned to purchase intent. Okay, let's just give an example. Let's say I wanted to know what has the biggest purchase, what has the biggest impact on the purchase of athletic shoes, running shoes. Okay, and I look at a number of variables. I look at the age of the person, I look at the gender, but I also look at their interest in fitness and their weight, etc. And what I see here is that if the person on the lower left has a low interest in fitness, they don't have an interest in shoes. But if they have a high interest in fitness, and by the way, the interest in fitness, you can almost imagine a line going from the bottom of the square to the top. And that's interest in fitness. So it starts at 0 in the lower left, and let's say it goes up to 10 at the upper left. So the more somebody's interested in fitness, the more they align to, oh Lord, this is just complicated. I hope you get this concept. If not, we need to talk. It is useful for you to understand it. All right, I'm going to stop here because we're ready for ocean spray for the case study and then pretty much wrapping things up for this class. So hold on, I'll be right back.